Shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did?
Whoopi thinks that's pretty much how black folks are treated in America. You absolute disgrace of a human being, Whoopi, to show absolutely no regard for the Iranian women who risk their lives to challenge the Islamist government, to minimize their struggle and compare it to your fever dreams about oppression in America in 2025.
Bill Maher criticized the Democrats again, saying they lost last November because of their focus on things like showing off their values and talking too much about race. He thinks this way of doing politics doesn't work anymore and pushes people away. When he spoke out, the hosts of The View, including Whoopi Goldberg, were very upset. Maher blames that kind of woke thinking for hurting the Democrats in the election.
In the Wall Street Journal claims that the shift to the right in this election reveals that Americans view themselves as belonging to a particular economic class more than their race and gender. And Bill Maher said it's not the only thing Democrats got wrong. Take a look.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what?
Bill Maher's verbal smackdown sent Democrats and the woke crowd into full meltdown mode. You could practically hear the outrage coast to coast. What really stings for them is that Maher, an old-school liberal, keeps torching their sacred talking points and exposing their delusions. They never saw it coming in. They definitely couldn't handle it. Whoopi Goldberg and her crew on The View weren't about to stay quiet. They kicked into full-blown counterattack mode, like their reputations were on the line. But their response, predictable, performative, and completely out of touch. That's what happens when outrage replaces reason. Check it out.
Is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
It's no wonder so many pundits are now warning that the Democrats might be headed for political extinction. Tone-deaf moves like this are exactly why. Bill Maher didn't miss the mark. His criticisms hit home. While everyday Americans struggled with inflation, an open border, and rising crime, what were the Democrats focused on? Gender pronouns in schools, renaming streets after activists, and obsessing over microaggressions on college campuses, instead of tackling gas prices, jobs, or national security. They chose to preach about lived experiences and systemic whiteness. It's like they forgot who they're supposed to serve. Maher is just holding up a mirror and the reflection is so uncomfortable, they'd rather smash the mirror than face the truth. If Democrats keep putting ideology above practicality, they won't just lose elections, they'll lose all relevance. And the worst part, they still don't see it. Meanwhile, the meltdown rages on.
Again, I got my popcorn. I don't know why people did what they did. I see all these reasons, and so, okay, time will tell. But what do y'all think?
I know that as a country, it's very difficult for people to believe that racism and misogyny, they're just alive and well. I think that we don't want to think that about ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, but it's my lived experience tells me that it does still exist, even if your lived experience doesn't tell you that it exists. And, the facts support that. I think we have a graph. If you look at there's a clear racial divide in who voted for Trump as opposed to who voted for Kamala Harris.
You can almost hear how tense Sunny Hostin sounds as she tries to argue against Bill Maher. It's the kind of tone people use when they know they're losing. Let's be clear, Maher never said racism or sexism aren't real. Not once. What he actually said, and what clearly upset people, is that Democrats are turning off voters by focusing too much on race, gender, and identity politics. Instead of bringing people together, they're dividing them into groups of victims. And the woke crowd doesn't like to be challenged. They treat facts like attacks and see disagreement as dangerous. So instead of answering Maher with real arguments, Sonny used emotional language and twisted his words. When logic doesn't work, outrage is all that's left. Maher didn't back down. In fact, he even said The View shouldn't be on TV anymore.
What do you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity, and a second good step would be we got to do something about The View.
Bill Maher took things even further by calling on Democrats to do something about The View. He says the show is hurting the party's image, not helping it. According to Maher, the women on the panel aren't just out of touch, they're making things worse with their constant virtue signaling and over-the-top opinions on serious issues. He even gave credit to the New York Times for stepping back from extreme woke ideas and moving toward more balanced, common sense reporting. Maher hopes the Democratic Party will do the same, but The View, they're not changing. The hosts keep repeating the same talking points, which only push moderates and independent voters further away. It's like they're undoing all the work Democrats have done this year to improve their image. And if you're wondering why Maher mocked Whoopi Goldberg, just watch the clip where she actually says that Iranian women are doing better than black people in the U.S.
Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say.
No, you're not imagining it. Whoopi Goldberg really did say that women and gay people in Iran are treated the same as they are in the U.S. Yes, seriously. She's gotten so lost in her own echo chamber that she can't see how wrong that is. In America, women have rights. They can vote, run for office, speak freely, drive, and wear what they want. Gay people can live openly. In Iran, women are beaten for showing their hair. Gay people can be tortured or even killed just for being who they are. Comparing the two is not just wrong, it's insulting, especially to the brave women in Iran standing up against real abuse. This kind of thinking is why so many people are tuning out The View. Watch as Rita Panahi from Sky News calls out Whoopi for this shocking statement.
Yes, Whoopi thinks it's the same. She thinks America and Iran are the same. The human rights abuses are the same. The fact that more than 90 million people are oppressed in Iran, and women doubly so, systematically subjugated by a brutal regime, she thinks that's the same as America. That is the modern left, folks. Dumb, dishonest, and dangerously.
Panahi said it perfectly. The woke left has become out of touch with reality. They've built such a strong echo chamber that they either can't hear or don't want to hear any opinions that challenge their views. That's the sad part. They ignore facts, reason, and even the people they claim to represent. Instead of changing, they keep doing the same things that aren't working, thinking that acting morally superior is the same as having real solutions. Even as they lose support and power, they keep blaming others. It's like they forgot the saying, if you're in a hole, stop digging. But instead of stopping, they're digging deeper, adding lights, and calling it progress. Unless they snap out of this way of thinking, they'll keep pulling their party and the country further into confusion and chaos, one bad idea at a time.
Why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good. So that's why I said you weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Not if you're black. Really? So crime happening in America, a black person killing another black person, for example, for which the perpetrator will be punished, is the same in Whoopi's warped mind as the state killing you because you're a minority, because you're gay or an
Panahi was spot on. The woke mindset shuts down logic and common sense. People get so caught up in being pure in their beliefs that they don't realize how silly they sound. What's crazy is, they think they're being deep and brave, but to everyone else, it just sounds like loud, confused noise. They act like they're always right, feeding off their own self-righteousness. Their messages are full of outrage but have no real meaning. They mix up emotions with facts, and think hashtags are the same as real solutions. And instead of having real discussions, they try to cancel anyone who disagrees. That's not progress, it's brainwashing. Until they wake up, they'll keep calling nonsense wisdom and pushing reasonable people away from the very causes they claim to support.
Let me be clear. The Iranian regime will hang you from a crane in the public square for crimes like blasphemy, witchcraft, homosexuality, and of course, if you dare show any dissent, if you challenge the brutal regime. Whoopi thinks that's pretty much how black folks are treated in America. You absolute disgrace of a human being, Whoopi, to show absolutely no regard for the Iranian women who risk their lives to challenge the Islamist government, to minimize their struggle and compare it to your fevered dreams about oppression in America in 2025.
Whoopi Goldberg lives in the United States, a country where freedom of speech is protected by law. Here, you can openly criticize, mock, or insult the president without fear of imprisonment or government retaliation. Whoopi herself has taken full advantage of that right, repeatedly attacking President Trump in the harshest terms, all while continuing to enjoy a national platform, a comfortable lifestyle, and complete freedom. Now imagine doing that in Iran. Speak a word of dissent against the regime, and you risk being dragged from your home in the middle of the night, disappearing without a trace. Your family may never get answers. In Iran, political dissent isn't a right, it's a death sentence. For Whoopi to equate her freedom in America with the brutal repression in Iran isn't just factually wrong, it's a slap in the face to every man, woman, and child suffering under real tyranny. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you appreciate honest, no-nonsense commentary, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.